minute for a few people to rejoin us. So if you're watching this on catch up, we've just restarted Iceman's live. Oh, he says, "Mummy, give me cuddles." Because we started it on the GoPro and it was glitching quite a lot. Go out the front. Look at his gorgeous face from out there. So if people want to let me know that you're here, and we'll get started again. Jodie's in there giving him a groom because he's got lots of hair coming out at the moment.
Yeah, they're all still shedding a huge amount.
They are. So we'll just give it a few more minutes for a few of you to join us. Hi, Monique. Hi, Jamie. I hope they do. I hope everyone does find us. Oh, look at him, looking gorgeous in the sunshine. We'll just wait for a few more people to join. So I'm afraid it's not as wide an angle from the phone. But we often have problems with the GoPro in here for some reason, don't we, Fro?
Yeah. Is it just the signal?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we have had problems with the internet since all the moves. Oh, it didn't just come up on your feed. It takes a minute or two. Hi, Inika. Hi, Nemo. You've got us. Look, you can just look at his gorgeous face for now. There we go. He does look like a statue, doesn't he? Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Kit. Everyone's slowly finding us. We would have done it outside in the sunshine, but the wind keeps gusting and then you wouldn't hear us. Hi, Tanisha. Oh, look at him. He's so beautiful. He's like, "Mum, you've stopped grooming me." Oh, that's the GoPro switching itself. Oh, look at that little face. Hi, Diane. Jamie, you're absolutely right. There is the Anya factor if we're outside, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they're. Oh, did they not come down for tea? Oh, that's because there's so much grass. They're all getting tubby. Okay, so I think we've got quite a few people back now. So I'm going to just, let's see whether we can pop you on here so that you can see. Sorry, you get my mug in the shot for now. If I can stand you on there. It's so much better with the GoPro because you get much better angle. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to talk from behind the screen. There you go, that's better. So I don't know how much of that you heard before, but I'll just summarise very quickly before passing over to Jodie to tell you a little bit more about him. He was born over in the Netherlands 10 years ago, last Wednesday, and then came over to the UK with Teddy Bear and lived with Lainey down in Devon for a number of years, where they were very much part of her family. And unfortunately, Lainey's life changed quite dramatically in 2022, and she got in touch with me with literally just a few weeks to sort something out for the boys. And she desperately didn't want to sell them. I'm just going to come the other side so you can see his face. She desperately didn't want to sell them. Sorry, Jodie, I'll have to. And she didn't want them to be separated. So because things were really not good with her, I said, look, send them up to the sanctuary for 3 months. They can come here. You know, if you can get everything sorted out, then you know, obviously they come back to you, you know, wherever that might be, and that way they stay together. We can guarantee to treat them as part of the family. Anyway, cut a very long story short, unfortunately that wasn't to happen, and Lainey actually surrendered them to the sanctuary about 3 months later. And as part of that sanctuary scheme that we run, we guarantee them a home for life. You know, they'll never be sold. They'll always be under our care and guidance. Now, whether that's here at the farm, here up in Cartmel, or whether it's through fostering them out, you know, they're guaranteed. So any owner who's in a difficult position, they know that if the horses come via us, that they're going to be cared for the rest of their days. Oh, every time. Are you camera shy, darling? Anyway, I did on the other video tell you a little bit about his breeding. He's by a stallion called Muse, who ended up going over to South Africa, sadly died at the age of 17. He was, through the stud book, he was champion older stallion at the Stallion Show, I think in 2017. And his mother's father, Honor, also was stallion champion in 2007. Both lived to a relatively good age, so you know you'd like to think that there's good bloodlines there. He is nicely bred. He was graded 3rd Premi as a foal, but never actually went to the gradings as an adult horse. And of course that's not something that's massively important in their lives here. You know, it's nice to do for the stud book to collect all that data on the different bloodlines, but it's not an important thing for him. The most important thing for him now is that he has a good life where he's well cared for and understood here at the sanctuary. Now, of course, he came with his buddy teddy bear, and I'm going to pass you over to Jodie, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about some of the health issues he's had, which I know some of you have thought might have been related to him being a little bit stressed about Bear. But as I say, Jodie will tell you a little bit more. Look, he's falling asleep now. It's because he's got the sun out here, he's got the solarium on his back in there, and he's got Jodie, his mum, giving him lovely grooms. But again, just in case you didn't hear it on the first live, when they came, Jodie and I knew that the best way to look after the two of them was for one of us to look after each of them. And I just naturally gelled with Teddy Bear, and Jodie just naturally was drawn to Iceman. So that's how it's been ever since. And Jodie's done all the work with him since he arrived. So she understands him inside out and back to front. So I'm going to pass over to Jodie so that she can
get behind the camera.
Yeah.
So I can have my notes as well. Oh, don't you look so handsome out in the sun? You can just see that bit of ombre here. This little orange tinge. That's how a lot of people know it's him, because of that bit of orange through his mane.
Your ginger highlights.
Your ginger highlights. He is very chilled. He's always very chilled in here, and he has been in here a few times, but I don't know if he's been in here. Has he been in many times with clients, or I can't? He's had a few.
Yeah, do you want to sit down?
Yeah, I might do actually. Yeah, yeah, I could just sit here and just prop the thing up. We could all just sit out here and just. Cause it's a really nice angle with the friendship barn and the sun. Oh, look at there. No, he's going to go back.
Set up out here. Yeah.
Yes, Lindsay, it is a tough life being pampered. Solarium, sunshine and grooming. But that's where he is just so special. You know, he's just such a chilled out horse. Ever since he arrived, really, he's just always had that really cool character.
That's right. This is great. Frank's got us all company. Do you want?
Oh, he's gone in there now.
There. Go on, you sit there. No, go
Oh,
on, you sit in the
ice.
comfy chair.
Oh, ice. So if there's any specific questions that anyone wants answering, then please just say, because it might get a little bit random, some of the things that we talk about, but because we're not going to do it like a timeline, because that's just a little bit, we'd rather just talk about him. Have you gone back in? Oh, here we go, he's coming back. So when they first arrived here, as Tracy said, we both just gelled with each of them, and I just loved him straight away for his, you know, his character, his personality, and, you know, he's just such a great horse. He's just, oh, sorry, I am getting distracted now. So what are you focusing on him at the moment? Right, that's probably a good place to start, and then we can kind of go back. So at the minute, we're doing a lot with the sort of groundwork. So that's something that we've all been working on a lot with most of the horses here for, what would you say, about 2 years now?
2 years now,
yeah.
Really. And I think that's the thing with him. Although he was trained, he was schooled, and he was very sensible, there wasn't actually the true relaxation there, was there? And that's where the groundwork has helped an awful lot.
Yeah, so that's where, going back to when he first came, you know, they'd obviously been professionally schooled and they were very schooling fit, and then they had sort of 3 months of just downtime in the field. And that's where at the beginning we did more of the ridden work. So we really, in that first year, when, you know, you're bonding with a new horse, it's very much about getting to know each other, doing fun things, just getting to know their personality. So that first sort of year, we did quite a lot of hacking. We did our first Mel session in the August of that year. And that's where he's always just been one of those horses where on the outside, you would never think there was any tension there. He's not outwardly, you know, what you would say is spooky or anything like that. But that's where it became apparent over the last 18 months that actually he was a horse where you'd get on and he'd almost go through the motions, but there wouldn't be a lot of genuine relaxation there.
And I think that's the case with so many Friesians, that they're seen as absolutely stoic, really good schoolmasters, because they almost switch off. But then I heard so many times over the years of horses that were great like that, really laid back, and then all of a sudden something truly scared them and they'd bolt and do something really stupid. And he's never done that, has he? But
No, and that's where with him it's almost more subtle.
yeah.
That he'd almost just tense up and maybe try and race through things. So I know in the early days when we were doing a bit more in the school or out hacking, he'd almost just rush everything. So you'd ask for, you know, in the transitions, he'd almost just run through everything. And that almost was his sort of, not panic, but it wasn't like a genuinely relaxed transition. So that's where we started to rethink what we were aiming for with him, because at the end of the day, you know, we're not looking to go out and compete or do anything like that. It's very much about him being a happy, healthy horse that's flexible and can use his body, and he enjoys his exercise, you know.
And I think if I could add in, I think we were both noticing that you'd tack him up, or, you know, when I worked with him a little bit when you were off lambing, it was like you'd watch his eyes when he was tacked up, and it was like he switched off and then went really stiff and couldn't, and I don't know, just wasn't relaxed, and it just went like an ironing board.
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
the whole thing hacking out, he'd turn and look to his shoulder, and, you know, hindsight is a great thing, and, you know, that is one of the very obvious signs of what happened in the end and what we found out about him.
Yeah, so that's where it, you know, leads on to, we did a lot more of the ridden work, and then we started looking more at the groundwork. And even in the early days of that, when we were almost looking for relaxation through his body, it felt like there was always a bit of a block. And I always remember we were doing exercises with like tapping around his body and using the pressures, And there were points where it just felt like he just couldn't quite relax. So that's where now, obviously, we found out about the ulcers. In hindsight, it was perhaps an underlying thing that he'd had for a period of time that he just dealt with. And it wasn't that severe that it was causing him a huge amount of problems, but there was just something underlying.
That he was like, it was almost like probably a constant nagging pain that obviously when he was having his saddle on and his girth on, it aggravated it a little bit. And, you know, everybody always wants to know why ulcers are caused, but I think there's a lot that's still not understood about ulcers, because it's not always something that's caused by stress. And, you know, you could put it down to the stress of him coming here, a change in feed, all sorts of things. But we know that between him having the first bout of ulcers and then them being healed and then him getting the ulcers again, there was no stress in his life. So we think it's something that he's predisposed to. So whether it's something within his bloodline or what it is, but the main thing is that, you know, nothing was changed. We've found something that we're pretty certain works now. We've done tests, so he's on that supplement for life now. And certainly with the work that you're doing with the relaxation and everything, Jodie, you know, that's helping to keep him a happy, relaxed horse.
Yeah, and that's even, you know, again, looking back in hindsight, even we noticed, even when he wasn't working out in the field, so his rug would always tip to the right-hand side. So it's almost like his natural way of standing or moving was almost very sort of sluggish, and he'd sort of lean one way. And you almost think like a person, if they've got an underlying issue in their stomach, you tend to sort of go one way or the other. And that's where, you know, he'd almost not had any huge change since he came here. So that's where if there was, you know, if you'd had a horse their whole life, then all of a sudden they had these symptoms or something was different. But because he'd been like that the whole time, and he'd obviously just been dealing with it in his own way, even, you know, all the work we were doing with the relaxation, you just couldn't quite get there with him, because there was clearly just something underlying. And
he's just a bit, is it wrong to say a bit slobbish?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
He would never stand with good self-carriage. He was always just a little bit wonky the way he stood. So there was something bothering him, and I so wish we'd got pictures of him sort of before and not after the groundwork, because it's ongoing, but his whole stature now, he has a lot more presence and self-carriage, doesn't he? Even when he stood at the tire.
Yeah,
points.
and even out in the field, you can just see he's more upright, and he's not sort of leaning or slouching, and, you know, it just shows what a difference the treatment for his ulcers and the groundwork, and almost retraining his brain that he doesn't need to anticipate anything. So I think that's where a lot of horses, they do certain things in anticipation, and that's where with the groundwork that we're doing with him, it's very much about him being able to relax through his entire body. And, you know, we got to a stage where we were getting quite a long way in with the groundwork, but then it was a few months ago that I said to Mel when I went for a session that, you know, I hadn't been riding him a huge amount, because that's quite a small portion of his training at the minute. Oh. Yeah.
Don't get me into trouble.
So
Iceman, come out here.
he's just hiding in there. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
So that's where over the most recent work that I've been doing with him was actually doing a lot of the groundwork with the tack on. So it was a case of approaching him with the tack, putting it on him, and then looking for relaxation as I put it on, and take it off and put it on. And it's almost him learning not to sort of tighten up when you put it on, because some horses out there, you know, they'll pull faces when you put the girth on, and that's quite an obvious sign, but he never did anything like that. But as Trace said earlier, it's like he just almost freeze and zone out. So that's where I was keen to do quite a lot of work, just with the association of the tack and the fact that he could still maintain this relaxed state with the tack on. And then we're sort of going through the process now of introducing that and doing some more ridden work with him and going out on hacks. So it's just almost a whole retraining of his mindset. And because we're not in a rush to go out competing or do anything like that, it just takes as long as it takes. And I think we have made real progress in the last few months, definitely.
And that just reminded me, we were going to actually start this live with you doing a little bit with him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We always have the best laid plans and then they don't.
Oh, he's gone back
Shall
in
I
there.
bring him out for a little?
Oh,
walk
yeah.
around here?
Yeah, it'd be nice for people to see him
Yeah.
moving around, actually. So, we have got some questions.
Yeah, I don't think he would follow you.
No,
Let's
He
have a
would go
look.
for grass,
yeah.
probably.
Can you tell us more about his personality? So, just as a horse, he is really chilled out. He's so gentle and loving, and that's where he is brilliant in the friendship barn. He can have sort of a cheeky side to him where he can play with the boys and be a little bit demanding.
It's when you go and poo pick them in the morning and feed them.
Yeah.
And he finishes his food and then he just comes and he's got his head over your shoulder because he just wants.
He does a nanny.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it's
So
that
just lovely.
expectation of love me, I'm the most important.
So that everyone can see you now.
Can you fit through there? Ooh.
We'll go and stand in the food in the sunshine.
And he's just over the last, is it 3 years? Yeah, 3 years. He's taught me a huge amount and he's given me that experience of working with, a younger horse who's, as you can see, has wonderful conformation. And he's just fab in every way. And even though we were talking about, obviously he was quite tense and we're very much emphasizing the issues that he's had, but in general he really loves to be doing. He wants to be working, he likes to be entertained. So it's very much, his work is just him playing and
Looking at the girls, because I think if he didn't have Uber with him, then he would definitely be the dominant one out of the boys.
Yeah.
And I think when he first came, I think there was a little bit of rivalry between him and Uber, but Uber's obviously won.
yeah.
When he was out with like Hidra and the girls, he did challenge Hidra a bit.
Oh, he did, didn't
Yeah.
he? Because
Oh,
when they first
yeah.
came, I'm just shouting because I know the phone doesn't
Yeah.
pick up.
I'll come round to the front.
So when they first came, they went out with Hidda and the girls, and this was when we made the decision that actually the boys needed to be separate from the girls because there was a lot of rivalry, and he did try and bully Hidda, and nobody's allowed to bully Hidda. This is a very typical thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the nudging and he loves his neck scratches. So how old? He is 10, so he turned 10 last Wednesday
Yes.
on the 1st of April. Oh.
But he didn't get a birthday party because it was a little bit busy here that day. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a busy week. So we're having a belated birthday. And I did take him out a couple of days ago for a nice little poodle down the road and he thoroughly enjoyed himself. He's definitely a cuddle bug, Lindsay, definitely. He's, like all of them, he will just stand there all day and be groomed and loved and scratched. And he does look, we've all commented on how well he looks right now. How he just stands there naturally uphill, rather than, like we were saying, 18 months, 2 years ago, he would sort of slouch, and it's just so wonderful to see him thriving and just doing so, you know, doing well.
But he always had a bit of a, we always called it a bit of a dad bod. And he does have a bit of a belly, but even that, with all the groundwork, his muscles are tightening up. I mean, he's got a lovely back on him anyway. I often liken, and right from the start, I've likened him to Doutzen, because he was a little bit sluggish in the way he moved. So initially it was like you were having to work too hard, which is what I did with Doutzen. But he was quite weak behind. But now he's getting the strength behind and the strength through his stomach muscles. He's able to now travel with more energy and relaxation at the same time. And he is a super moving horse. He's very athletic, you know, in the world of you know, competition horses and people who want horses to go out and compete, you know, I'm sure he'd do really well, but it's just not something that we're going to do.
Yeah, and that's it, you know. It's even from day one, I've always felt so privileged to have the opportunity to work with a horse like him, because, you know, we're not here to take them out and compete, but it's just a case of doing the work and putting the time in so he can look and feel like he does now. And it's very exciting for the future, because we've made a real breakthrough in the last couple of years. Obviously, from treating the ulcers, and, you know, he's now on a supplement which he'll be on for the rest of his life, which is clearly helping the situation, because like Trace said, it did reoccur, and there were no changes in his life, there was no stress, and it just shows that he perhaps just has a weakness in his tummy which needs a supplement each day just to keep at bay. So it just shows that sometimes there isn't really an answer as to why these things happen. And it's just amazing that, you know, it wasn't a nice thing at all that he came down with colic at one of the open days.
For people who don't know, what happened was, on one of our open days, he started doing the Fleeman's posture, which is where they lift their top lip up, which sometimes they can do if there's a funny smell. Sometimes they can do if there's a bit of discomfort. And he started doing that on the open day, and it wasn't something that he did very often. In fact, I don't think he'd ever done it before, had he?
No, and it was, I think, you know, obviously the ulcers were underlying, and maybe that day, because he'd been in and he was stood gorging on dry, you know, quite dry hay, it was an awful thing to happen, and it was really upsetting and stressful, but it was a blessing in disguise, because he then obviously, you know, was seen by the vets, and he was diagnosed with the ulcers, and that's where these things do sometimes happen for the right reason, and it's meant that he is now fit and well as can be. You know, he's just thriving at the minute.
It's one of those things that look, he's demonstrating the food.
Yeah.
So that's what he was doing on the day, and it's something, you know, anyone who's got Friesians, you know, they are very good at covering discomfort, and sometimes it can be really subtle signs. So even just, you know, I mean, that was just because I was scratching his nose, but, you know, it's knowing the horses and understanding them. And I think that's one of the reasons why Lainey wanted them to come here, was because we've had however many years of experiences with Friesians. I'd like to think that we're very good at recognising when there's something not quite right. So he was very subtle, but then on that day, you know, when he was getting down and showing himself to be colicky, with a Friesian, you never ever take a risk. It's just not worth it, and if they show any signs of colic, I would always highly recommend them to be scoped. Even if the vet comes along and they do a rectal exam and they say there's no signs of any impaction, and they give them, say, some Buscopan that settles down, the discomfort, I would always have them scoped straight away just to see whether there's any impaction in the stomach, because that is a problem that affects the breed, whether it's gastroparesis, which is delayed emptying of the stomach, which can then lead to a rupture in the stomach. It's always best just to get it checked out. And I know this from Wouter, who had a bout of colic. 2 weeks later, he was dead. He'd got ulcers and an impaction around that. So, yeah, it's always worth investigating whenever there's a sign of discomfort. But, you know, fortunately, he doesn't have gastroparesis, so his stomach is emptying well enough. And it was just the ulcers.
Definitely loving that.
But he's off to Mel's again tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
so
yeah.
Had a week's break.
Yeah, so he's generally there at least once a week or twice every 2 weeks, and that's where, you know, the guidance from Mel is just so amazing to have, because it's just a journey, no matter, you know, what level you're at, or it's always just having that guidance from somebody on the outside on what the next step is. And that's, you know, like I was saying before about all the work we were doing with the tack and putting that on him and taking it off and asking, you know, looking for that relaxation through his body. And now we've got to a stage where I can tack him up loose anywhere and he will just stand there and almost see the tack as a relaxation cue almost. He just drops straight away and he looks really calm in his eye and he licks and chews, and it's so lovely to see that all that time you spend going through that process is now getting to a stage where I can start getting back on him and taking him out, and he feels like he's travelling better underneath me and he can hold himself and he's just more comfortable and level and even.
Unless we're doing it live.
Yeah, unless we're doing a live and my concentration isn't all on him, which actually you were saying that, you know, Annie does the same thing, Dow can do the same thing.
For years, Annie, if I wasn't 100% focused on her, I couldn't get anything from her. She now just about tolerates it if I do a live. She still doesn't really listen to me, but she doesn't listen to anyone. But with Ice, we went out, was it last Friday?
Yeah, we did just a little one around the fields just to show everyone the updates on the orchard and a few different things.
And he just starts, I'm gonna swap over so that everyone can see you with him. So that it was like as soon as we start filming, he does this whole stopping, doesn't he? As if he wants to pee. Yeah. And it is just because when you're riding and talking and you're not focusing on them 100%, sometimes they can say, oh, well, I'm not going to listen to you then.
That's it, and because they are so used to all your energy and focus being on them, especially during like the training sessions at Mel's, or if you're out on a hack on your own, it's just you and them. And then as soon as you're chattering away to somebody, they go, oh, I'll just switch off then.
Yeah.
And that's his sort of go-to, that he just goes to switch off.
Yeah, because then Jodie, I said to Jodie, go out with him and you know, don't do any film, like not as a live. And as soon as you went out with him on your own, he was just brilliant. And then you got your camera out to film, and all of a sudden he just switched off. Where are you going? He wants to go in the turnout because he says that's where you were supposed to do the live from. Carol, Frey is his favourite human. Well, I think he's got several favourite humans, but yeah, he did.
Feed or scratch.
Food or scratch is hello, darling. Hello. Where are you going? He's actually not free reined before, has he? Have we ever let him free rein?
Free-reined once.
Oh, has he?
Or twice. But he's not best suited to it, I think.
Yeah.
I remember.
I think he's just one of those horses that wants to be in everything and see what's going on, and he's just so
Yeah.
busy that he'd just be too busy to see what's
But I think
everybody's doing.
you'd get used to it though, wouldn't you?
That's it, and
Yeah.
get used to it over a period of time.
But I think it's probably about time to find out who's the lucky winner of that quilt that our quilting queen Diane has made in his very beautiful ice blue colours, with a little bit of teddy bear in there as well. Look, don't these two make... Oh, and I have to say, just seeing Jodie stood with him there, you know, if at our last... Was it the last open day, the August one, where you rode him in that beautiful top of yours? And there's some lovely photos of the two of them together on the day. But yeah, the relationship between these two is just fabulous. Right, I'm going to pass to Frey so I can go and get my computer and we'll find out who the lucky winner is.
Wait. I've just realised I need my laptop as well because I have my spreadsheet.
Well, I'll tell you what. Right, you can just watch this gorgeous pair together for a minute. In fact, no, I'm going to give it to you, Joe. Can you hold that as well as him? There you go. Well, of course you can. You can ride and lead a horse and hold a camera.
Do you want to go in the turnout? Is that where you want to go? We could let you go and have a bit of haylage if you want. Is there any...
Right, so as we do for these raffles, we have...
He wants to see what's on there.
No, your mum's going to pick the winner today. So
Oh,
we have a website called random.org that we go on, and we put in the number of entries, and then we press a generate button. So Frey has the spreadsheet of entries on her computer. So huge thank you to everybody who's entered for this raffle, because all the funds go directly towards the day-to-day care of all the boys and girls. And obviously a massive thank you to Diane, who just never stops creating. I mean, even since yesterday, she's made a pendant, another of those beautiful pendants that I'm ashamed to say I'm not wearing at the moment. So, are we ready to find out who the lucky winner is?
So it's 3.
Oh, 3 today.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
starting on 3 today. 2. 101.
101. And then we have a little generate button there. So, Jodie, if you want to press the generate button. So you just click the screen. And that's come up with number 67.
67.
We can't show you the spreadsheet, obviously, for data protection.
Susan S.
Susan S. Well, huge congratulations to you, Susan. You have won the beautiful Iceman quilt. And there is a condition of winning, I'm afraid, Susan. Diane will need to see a picture of it in situ, because she has a wonderful collection of all the quilts that she's made. That's it. Oh, he wants food. Yeah, there you go. He's happy now. He's got food. Yes, so that's wonderful, Susan. You are going to absolutely love this.
oh, you will. It's just beautiful, isn't it? All of Diane's quilts are just so beautiful and
Yeah.
personal, aren't they? So
I've only just noticed that your babies are over in the walker still.
Yeah.
quite happy
Yeah. Jodie's other babies. Yeah.
with the children.
I like the walker.
So look at all those congratulations coming through for you, Susan. So that will be winging its way to you this weekend or early next week. So Frey will work her magic on getting it packaged up and in the post to you. So hopefully you will have it at some point next week. Jay wants to know, have you been lambing?
Not yet. Another couple of weeks to go, so they're all getting very big.
Yeah.
Ready for pop.
So how many are you expecting?
I can't do maths very well. Probably around 50 sets of twins and about 30 singles and 7 triplets. So,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever that adds up to, I don't know.
Yeah.
140.
Oh, well done.
There we go.
Yeah. See, your maths is very good. Very good.
On rare
Lots more
occasions.
children.
Yes. So the dogs will be working hard over the next, yes.
We enjoy just watching them, staring at them, you know.
Yeah.
Helping me catch them if we need to. So yeah,
You're right, Jamie. Very busy time for Jodie ahead. Yeah.
be good.
And we're going to miss her here. We always miss you when it's lambing time.
So I'm sure I'll find some time to pop round because I can't stay away for long.
Yeah, when you need a bit of sanity,
Yeah, I need a bit of.
a bit of calm.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, nobody can stay away for long. I just can't do it.
Aww.
You need to see the humans and the children,
And all the beasties. Yeah.
as we call them, the children.
There's 2 of the other children, little skinny Innie and Dow over there. But, and I'm not going to forget because I can't ever forget things now after that classic time where I even forgot the raffle on a live. We do always like to launch another raffle when one ends. And this young lady has been very busy getting the next one up on the website. Okay, sorry, it's 2 because we've had some beautiful pieces that have been donated. Firstly by Jen Pemberton, and those of you who followed the videos for a long time will have seen them. Can we get it up on your screen, Frey? Or shall I go into the office? So Frey is literally publishing 2 raffles. One of them is sponsored by Jen Pemberton, who's donated some very, very beautiful black horse themed items that you'll be able to take a look at on the website. And the other is another one of our fantastic patrons and supporters, Lisa Strong, who has sent over 2 absolutely stunning pieces of jewellery that have both... Oh, here we go. So there on the bottom are some of the beautiful black horse sculptures. Most of them are wooden. There's the 2 bookends on the right.
Yes.
The 3 horse head sculptures.
Yes, and then there's like the heart
Yep.
thing.
That hangs beautifully on the wall.
And then he sort of blends in, but there's like a little JB figurine which we think is like him having a bomb around the arena.
Absolutely. And there's even a little Prinsicle.
I know,
little
we
Smurfy.
have a little Smurfy paperweight thing there.
So to be in with a chance of winning those, you've got 2 weeks to buy your tickets for that one. And then above, you will see these 2...
So
3...
we have a set
Yes.
of earrings and a necklace.
So these have been inspired by the Friesian stallions Vanda
Yes.
and
And
Anton,
Tom.
who were both absolutely stunning stallions. So these bits of jewellery replicate those 2. And they have been very kindly sponsored by Lisa. And again, they are up for raffles. So you've got 2 weeks to get your tickets bought. And then we will find out who the lucky winners are. And isn't it nice? We're going to be having several winners. So the black horse one, there will be 8 different items.
Winners.
Yeah.
We have 8 on the sculptural one, then 2 on the jewellery.
Yeah. So that might be a long live.
It might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plan that one a bit.
We will. But yes, so that's pretty much it for this evening. I'm sorry about the slightly dodgy start with the GoPro and the reception in the friendship barn. Nancy, do I need to make matching fingerless gloves for the hats? Oh, now that's an idea. That is an idea. Yes, you see, we didn't have a runners-up prize of one of your very beautiful hats for Iceman's raffle because a number of our wonderful volunteers have had one of your hats each, and Hazel, who is our blue lady, we didn't let her have the teddy bear one, did we? So she went for the Iceman hat. But yeah, I like the idea of gloves. They sound very complicated to make.
Yeah, but they'd be very nice.
They would be, wouldn't they? Yeah. Anyway, we're going to love you and leave you this evening. Thank you all very much for joining. If you're joining us for the first time and you like what you see with the horses and you're a true animal lover and you'd like to see more, then please do hit that subscribe button. I know so many of you, we see your names on here. We know a lot of you are silent followers. So thank you for joining. If you have already subscribed, I think what helps the channel as well is lots of likes. So yeah, is there anything else that you want to add?
I don't think so. I think we've about covered everything, haven't we?
I think we have.
It's been great for everyone to join us and learn a bit more about him, and because we try and bring as many updates as we can, but it's nice to focus on the horses individually, isn't it? And
It's worked. It's worked well for their birthdays, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put Frey on the spot now. Who's the next birthday?
I know this one because we have a break in birthdays till the end of May, where I'm pretty sure it is Annie and Yolanda's joint birthday right at the end of May.
Oh, let's not put the two of them in the turnout together.
That would be a bit scary.
It would be.
Then we have a few joint birthdays after that because Weirdo and Nero share a birthday.
How apt.
Yeah. And don't Hidra and Shell share a birthday?
I think they do, yeah.
There's a few joint ones we'll have to put below.
Yeah. So yes, we'll no doubt tell you more about them in the coming weeks. But yes, bye from me.
bye. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Iceman, do you want to say goodbye? Say goodbye.
He's quite busy munching.
Very busy munching. We'll leave you to your tea. Thank you all and see you soon.